You are listening to the Cali Podcast on the Real, live with El Sassa Radio.
Hello this evening. It is October 1st. Already in October. We're going to have Halloween soon. We've got an amazing show today. So I want to introduce my guest. She is absolutely beautiful inside and out, and I just love her. So I would love to introduce you. You want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hello, my name is Joan Montreal. I'm with Wisdom Production and Brilliant Women in Film, and I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me, Kelly.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So we're gonna jump in. It's a little bit after 6. Traffic is a little crazy, and so we're just gonna jump right in. And I'm so excited. I've been waiting on Miss Joan for a good couple of months now. Let's just say I've been itching to get her in here. She has amazing things going on, and I would love for you to tell everyone about all of this stuff you're doing with Beautiful Women in Film.
Okay, there's a couple of things that's coming up. The first thing that's coming up is October 19th. Brilliant Women in Film is actually doing an Actors Delight workshop for actors. It's only $25 for the registration, whereas we're going to teach you guys how to show up on set camera ready.
Wow.
So, yes, that's October 19th.
$25?
$25.
That's a steal, you guys. Wow.
And then we have I'll be in New Orleans, Louisiana on November 16th for my first book. November 19th for my first book, and I'll be showing aspiring writers how to write their first book.
Ooh, and that's something that I need to learn.
Mm-hmm.
I went to LA last year, and I went to one of those, and it was amazing. I learned so much, and I thought, okay, but I still don't have it. So I will be after you, because I would love to write a book.
Okay.
And I'm not good. So tell me how that works, because I'm not great. I'm a visual learner.
Mm-hmm.
So for those of us out there who are left-hand visual learners, how do you go about writing a book? If you have, I would say ADHD, dyslexia, all of those things that, and you've got all of these great gifts, but you can't put them out on paper.
Yes.
How does that work?
Well, if you have a problem with actually putting it on paper, you can actually record yourself.
Okay.
You can, I always tell the aspiring writers to actually come up with something that they're very passionate about and start there. So if you don't have the time to write, or if there's a problem with you writing, and as far as for visual individuals, just get a recorder. And just start recording each chapter. Find out what you want to say and what chapter, and just start recording it.
Really?
And then hand it over to an editor.
Really?
Yes, and allow them to put your book together.
Oh my God. And I learn something new every day. I've always wondered that, because, I thought I would love to have a book. I mean, my whole entire life story is a book. And I know there are things that the Lord wants me to put out there for other people, and I thought, there's no way I can do this. I've prayed about it, and I thought, how am I supposed to do this? So thank you for answering that question.
Yes.
And that's definitely something I will be able to do now. I can, and it is what is it called? A screenwriter? How does that work?
It's actually for my first book is just dealing with authors.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and
Okay.
then we also have a free community service in Houston, which is called the Writers Room.
Oh.
And if you are interested in writing a screenplay, we actually teach you how to write a screenplay.
Really?
Yes, we take you through 6 weeks of training, and we've had like 5 individuals to graduate from writing their screenplay. So we're just ready
Wow.
for production.
Oh my gosh.
So we're ready, and those of you guys who have a book, what you can do if you think you are interested in transferring that book into a movie.
Mm-hmm.
I've done that twice with 2 of the books that I've written, and it's now movies now. And so if you're interested in that, we help you to transfer that, transform it into a movie.
And what are those movies?
Actually, it's The Unexpected book. It comes from Walk by Faith. It's dealing with sickle cell anemia.
Okay.
And our latest movie is Beyond the Vows, and the book was released in August of last year, and now it's a movie, and it's been released August of this year. And actually, Kelly is in the movie.
I wasn't going to say that part, but
Yes.
I was blessed to be in that film. And I will tell you, just working with BWIF, they are incredible. And one thing with me, I'm a very structured person. I am one of those people. I'm always on time or ahead. I always say that. I'm always early. If you see my closet, you wouldn't say structured, but it's because I've gotten older. As you get older, and I'm just seems like I don't have enough time. But my mind is structured. I feel like in my mind, I thought, okay, I'm just one of those people. So if there's a lot of disarray, I get very uncomfortable. So when I was working with you, it was amazing to me, and because I am one of those people, and I love structure. I'm a bullet point person. When someone tries to explain something to me, and they're like, "Oh, well, just go into Google Drive and put it all in there," and I'm like, "Can you please give me some bullet points?
Yeah.
Can you please get?" That's how I live. That's how my mind works, and. People say, "Oh, well, it's because you're left-handed, and you think this way," and maybe that's true, but that's how I operate, and I almost can't if I don't think that way. It leaves me feeling just crazy almost.
Yes, yeah. Well, we all have a different way of learning.
Yes, yes.
And should I add that you also completed a short film called The Homecoming?
Yes.
And that is premiering on November 8th. So Kelly has joined us again.
Oh, that film, Homecoming. Let me tell you about Homecoming. I'm not going to give any of it away, but I would say that's going to be a really, really great one. And I'm hoping there's a part 2, 3, 4, and it keeps going.
Yes, well, we did talk about it. We did talk about having it maybe as a sitcom.
I think that would be amazing. I really do. It's hilarious.
So we're premiering that November 8th.
Oh, okay. And you know what that reminds me of? The Jeffersons. Did you ever watch that? That reminds me of I was sitting there and I thought, I'm in the Jeffersons. And I love the Jeffersons.
Yes, it's very comical.
Yes,
it's very comical.
it is. It's hilarious. So tell me, where are you from?
I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana.
I thought.
And
okay.
I came down, my family, as a result of the storm. And so we're here. And so I was actually doing stage plays in New Orleans, Louisiana for 10 years.
Wow.
But when I came to Houston, the Lord just said, "Hey, I want you to park here." And when I decided to park here, I mean, I didn't know that it was just a little mini Hollywood here in Houston. And so I got started. I transferred from from stage plays to writing screenplays.
Wow. And how many, that's been, was it Ike or?
2005.
Okay.
Katrina.
Okay.
Hurricane Katrina.
Wow.
Yes.
And so you've done all of these films since in that short of period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. I never thought of that. Yes.
Yeah, you're talking about 13 years, and you've done all of the films in 13 years.
Yes, we have 3 films, one webisode, and 1 short film, and now I'm into working on documentaries.
Unbelievable.
Yes.
That's amazing, you guys. And for those of you who out there who feel like, there's something I want to do, there's a film I want to get out or a book, please look up BWIF. I promise you she will help you every step of the way. She is amazing at what she does. She's structured, organized, and she's very easy to work for. And I love her. So I'm just thrilled, over the moon to have you in the studio today. It is definitely going to, there are so many wonderful things happening in Houston. So I am very thankful that you're here. I'm glad God rolled you on over here,
yes, and
myself too, because I was not a Houstonian. I consider myself a Houstonian now, but I wasn't, and we ended up this direction. I had stayed here when I was young for some time, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it. But I told my spouse, I said, I just don't know because I thought it was so large. But when you live in Houston, it really isn't because everyone's like family. They really are, and they're so close. And in this industry in Houston, everyone knows everyone, or you worked with someone, or or you'll eventually work with them. Let's just say that. But it is a wonderful place to be. So if you are getting started, or if you're new to Houston, welcome to Houston,
Welcome.
and just enjoy because Miss Joanne, she's done all of those films, and I'm just gonna pray on your little dreams here because she's done all of that work in 13 short years, and you can do it too. And so I would love for people to get a little bit of understanding what Beyond the Vows is about.
Okay, well, Beyond the Vows is a movie that deals with a couple that has experienced adultery. In today's time, it seems as though that it is the norm, and a lot of couples are actually they go through the hurt, they go through the pain, and they get back together, but they don't get back together with different tubes. So it's a process. When you've experienced that in your marriage, there's a process that you have to take in order to get back where you were before. Not that you want to go back there, because you actually want to be better than that. So
Right.
you have to talk about how did we get here, and what made you go outside the marriage, and then you kind of talk through it to find out what was the issues, and so you won't have to go through it again.
Right,
And so Beyond the Vows, it helps couples to well, it actually give you the tools in order to help you to overcome the hurt and the pain and the agony and the memories of it all. It's just a painful and a tragedy experience. It's such a heartbreak that it takes time
Right.
to move through it and get and bounce back. And you need God to do that.
Absolutely.
So if you have never had God before, you're gonna need God now, because marriage is not only a good idea, it's a God idea.
Right.
And
Absolutely.
so God has the tools for you to take in order to get through this type of pain.
And that really hit home with me because I was in that same situation, and I said, it is not that I don't forgive, because we are called to forgive,
Yes.
but I will remember, and it is something that it's still a little touchy for me because I have a hard time, and I find myself going back to that not trusting spot. So it is something that you have to work on every single day as a couple, as an individual. You definitely, it's something. And so whenever being part of that film, it was really touching and moving, and the emotion behind it, wow, is unbelievable.
Yes.
So yeah, I love that one. And then you have that movie and the book, the DVD, and I'm definitely excited to get that DVD and or the book. I'm actually going to have that book, and I want to know, there's probably a lot more in the book than the film.
Yes, there is. Yeah, there's a lot of
so I
juicy
missed
things.
a lot.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's the movie is actually. I'm sorry, I'm getting so excited.
Oh, you're fine.
The movie is actually written for an audience who are not only Christians but faith-based individuals, because you have to have faith in order to get you through it. And so I left a lot of juicy things out there, because a lot of the things that we know, I don't want to encourage you sleeping in the bed with the individual. I don't want to encourage that. So I actually want to encourage you moving through faith in order to get through the healing.
Wow.
Yeah, to get to that part, opposed to just kind of bringing out the dirt and not healing it back up. Or, so I just wanted to make sure that we drove home that you can get through it, just as if you can get through grief, you can get through adultery.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it reminds me too of whenever I would say when when someone goes to prison, and they've got to go to prison and they've got to work on themselves, and inside they're healing, they're going through things. Either you heal and you work through it, or you don't, and you end up back there in that same situation. So if you're going to come out, and I see that a lot with the system, and people say, well, the system's broken. Yeah, a lot of system is broken in that aspect, but also if you're not willing to put in the work, you will end up going back. And so it's the same thing with adultery. You know, if you're not willing to overcome those obstacles and to work on yourself, because you've got to work on yourself and heal yourself before you can work as a couple. And I really believe that. And so, yeah, it's really the same. You know, I look at that whole situation, and I've done prison ministry for Kairos, and, you know, and I try to encourage people, hey, you know, when you come out, you can't leave. You've got to be a completely different person. Your surroundings have to be different. Everyone you're around has to be different.
Yes.
So, because you can't go back to the same thing. It's, you know, it's just a trap.
Yes, and this is the one thing that the Bible allows you to depart from the marriage, because even the Lord knows how difficult it is to get back on track, and everyone cannot go through the process of healing. They have to leave because it's just too much.
Right.
And in today's time, it's so normal. Whereas that, threesomes are normal. I mean, but it's not. It would never be accepted by God. It's
Right.
not the will of God, and it'll never be accepted. So we have to change that about ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw that the other day, and someone had put they were in an open marriage, and I thought, and it's like people were congratulating, or, you know, high fiving, and yeah, you're right. It's a different. We live in a different time. And I don't understand everything that goes on out there, because I have, I don't really understand it. I don't understand the lingo. I don't understand all of that stuff. And maybe I'm left a little bit in the dark. I don't know. But I feel like for me, I live a pretty normal life. And so maybe that's just it. You know, times have changed, and I hold no judgment or
Yes,
anything
no
like that.
judgment, yeah.
No judgment. But I know for me, there are trials and tribulations. You
Yeah.
do have to work through things. You do have to, you know, and we get in situations, and you can't always just run. You can't do that in life. You can't really run from anything, honestly.
Yes.
You got to face things head on. In life, we are always going to have obstacles. And so if you aren't willing to face that and hit those problems head on and overcome those things, you won't grow.
Won't grow.
Yeah, you won't. And I tell people all the time, listen, if you're too still, if you don't have things going on, and if things are too easy for you, you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yes, because life is tough. Yes.
Right. So it's amazing. You know, we try to say truth. You know, we try to keep things on the real here. We try to bring all of the things out, and it is real life stuff going on. This is reality. This is where we live. 2020 is right around the corner, and there are a lot of we live in the times where it is wonderful to be an entrepreneur. It's wonderful to write a book, do a movie, all of those things. So if you've got the passion and the desire, the will to do it, just do it, because it is easier now than it has ever been, ever. We have the technology. We have people who have gifts. They are blessed with gifts and talents that they are willing and want to share with you. And so that is one thing I know. I was blessed with this, and it is a small platform. But I will tell you, my thing and my goal is that whenever people come in and I get to speak on the Lord, or I get to speak about reality and things like that, that they leave here and they're able to have something. And so that is one thing I saw the other day on the post is women uplifting each other and building one another. It goes not for just women, but men too. You know, there's men, and my husband was speaking on this actually yesterday, that saying that, you know, he offered someone some help with something with a company, and he said, you know, it was almost like he didn't want to save money. and because the pride gets to some people,
Mm-hmm.
and he said, I just don't get it. I just don't understand how, because if I need help, I'm gonna ask for
Mm-hmm.
help.
Yes.
We cannot allow the pride to get to us and break us down, because that is one thing that will hold you back from your dreams.
Absolutely.
That is definitely one of those things, being prideful, and we're not perfect by any
Yes.
means,
Yes.
but we try every day and strive to be a
Mm-hmm.
better person.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anyways, I kind of got off topic there, but I
That's
wanted
good.
to share
Good.
that.
It's
I
good. It's
wanted to
good.
share about those things because, we learn and we have to grow every single day.
Mm-hmm.
I tell my children, you're going to learn something every single day. Be strong in your faith, and that's one thing I said, wow, I actually feel like I'm doing great things, because my
Mm-hmm.
little one said, I pray every day and I hear her little prayers. I just want to be closer to God.
Ah.
And, I thought, wow, am I doing that? Is that
Mm-hmm.
my mothering? Because sometimes I get so busy and we get distracted. And that's actually a lot of what today's topic is about. Strength behind the struggle. Because we are always going to struggle. It is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
I see the millennials, I see a lot of things going on. And let me tell you, when your child is 18 or of age, it is time for them to grow. And we cannot hold on to them, because we're keeping them from being molded. We're keeping them from growing into the adult that they're supposed to be. We're keeping them from possibly having a family or a spouse or children or any of those things. So whenever the time comes, we've got to let them go. As hard as it is, when they get to that age, we have to have the strength and we've got to let them go. Right?
Yes. I have a regret that my son made 17 years old. He went to stay on campus. And when he lived on campus, he went through a rough time, because there were so many things happening on campus that we know nothing about.
Wow.
There was drinking, there were drugs, there were rapes
Mm.
on campus. And one particular time, he told me that he had kind of took a woman home because she was in the midst of being taken advantage of.
Wow.
And it wasn't until then that I just knew that we were in changing times.
Hmm.
Times were getting different. And then when I glance at how the millennials are living today, they have it hard
Yes.
today. I mean,
Absolutely.
because it's like the world just handing everything and anything on the platter,
Hmm.
and they're not
Hmm.
thinking about where they would be, in 5 years later.
Right.
And so,
Right.
and so we have to teach our children, once we release them, they need to learn how to say no.
Yes. Absolutely.
So you have to, when they leave home, you have to make sure you have those type of morals and values
Mm.
instilled in them, because it's easy to get lost out
Yes.
there.
Hmm.
Because you will find that the millennials are coming home from colleges,
They're
and
scared.
yeah, they're scared, and the things that they've witnessed. Oh my God! It's like you got to take about a year to actually pull them back together and heal them. As parents,
Mm.
our job is not done. We're still
Right.
doing our job even
Right.
after 18 years old.
Yeah.
So when we release them, we got to make sure that we release them with everything they need in order to fight in this cold world.
Absolutely. And that's one thing I said is make sure that we do release them with the tools and the knowledge. And I don't sugarcoat things for my children, because I know they're going to see it.
Yes.
And they laugh at me, but I will open up a tablet. I will show them things probably that a lot of parents may frown about, but it's reality.
Yes, reality.
And they're going to see it. And I don't want them to be in a culture shock when they do come
Yes.
across it.
Yes.
Because they've got to learn to face things and be strong. And if I'm not teaching them those things, they're gonna break under pressure. And they've already got so much. The weight of the world is on their shoulders, anyways. I've heard many times people say, "Oh, well, they're spoiled," or millennials are spoiled, or yeah, it's a lot of it's our fault.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of it is our fault because we haven't allowed them to grow. We're holding them hand, and I'm actually was guilty of that for holding the hand
Me
too
too.
long.
Yeah.
And I said, I have got to let this child grow because if I don't, they're not gonna know how to deal with real life.
Yes.
And so I did. I finally I did, and it's hard. It is not an easy
is.
thing. It is a big struggle.
Yes, my 19-year-old, I just feel so guilty because I sheltered him. Because of going through the things with your older kids, you're
Right.
like, oh my God, if you just you gotta just
You just
keep
hold
him
on.
until just holding on to the very end.
Yeah.
And he, he's a homebody. He doesn't want to go out and he doesn't want to participate. He doesn't want to get out into the world. He just
So
like
what do
being
you
at
think
home.
about that?
I think it's my fault. I feel guilty.
Oh.
Even his dad feel guilty. He's like, release those kids and let them go. I said, but I released my 18-year-old, and he went to college, and it wasn't good for him. And so I was scared.
Yeah.
And so now I find myself applying all this energy to try to say, okay, go live your life.
Yeah.
Just go out there. And now he's saying, no, I don't want to go. So, Lord help me, Jesus. Lord help me. That's where I'm at now.
We're actually in the times where we're living on a prayer,
Yes,
right?
yes,
We are living
yes,
on a prayer.
yes.
You know, who was that? Michael. What was he? Who was that? Oh, George Michael, maybe.
George Michael?
That
Yeah.
thing, living on a prayer. Yeah.
It could be him.
I think so, maybe.
down to one of 'em.
Yeah, one of them. But we are actually in those times now where we are actually literally living on a prayer.
Yeah.
And it is every time we get in our vehicle, every time we go to the grocery store, I mean, anything. And, I find myself, as soon as I get in, I'm praying. As soon as I get, to my destination. So here's what I tell my daughter said, well, what about during the daytime? I said, here's what you do. You get up, you ask, the Lord to protect you for your day. You repent of your sins for the day. And then before you go to bed, you do the same thing and you ask for protection when you sleep. I said, because when you do that, then you're protected, of course, 24 hours a day.
Yes.
And
yes.
so she said, oh, okay. And I said, life is life. Reality is reality. And you're going to struggle, sweetie, no matter how hard you pray, or, God's protection. Of course, we want to think we're always, He's protected us, but it doesn't mean we don't see things. It doesn't mean we don't experience things
Yes.
or witness things. And I hear that a lot too. It's like, somebody asked me one time, well, if your God is so special, then why this? Why this and why that? And I said, we live on our own free will. And, we do. We live on our own free will. We do things. No, I don't, the suffering and all of that, nobody has answers for. We do not have answers for. There are things that I've gone through that no child or adult should ever go through. But here's what I do know. Going through those trials, I think that it has made me stronger to be able to have a voice for other people going through the similar circumstances. So that is one thing that I can say is absolutely it was hard. It was hard getting over things or facing those kind of things. But I went through those things so I could help others. And that's really how I feel about it. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Well, I think that trials and tribulations. No, I don't think you're wrong. I think you're spot on. Trials and tribulations, they come, and God doesn't send those trials and tribulations like as far as us getting touched as a child or beaten by a husband.
Right.
God doesn't send those things. He sends those things that's going to deal with our faith, our faith walk. Because at one time, when I lost my daughter. I was told, well, you lost your daughter because your husband is not doing right, and that's why you lost. And I'm like, what type of religion and spiritual foolishness is this? So no, but that had nothing to do with God. The thing is, my daughter had a time on her. She had a limit. She had a time that she was going to be here, and thank God that, you know, by his grace that we would allow to spend that time with her. But we have to go through trials and tribulations because they're for us. They build character in us. But I think this Christian world has kind of manipulated how God sends those trials.
Absolutely.
And so we think that some of those trials that we go through, we supposed to no. Some of those trials are not sent by God.
Right.
You know, so but God does send those things, you know, that deals with our faith. Suffering comes with this world. So it's better for you to have him than to not have him when you actually going through a trial and a tribulation. So he said, be of good cheer and know that, you know, this, you know, what you're going through now is not even worthy to be compared of what God has in store for you. So that whatever you're going through, there is glory in that story. And God will make sure that things work together for your good.
And that is the struggle behind the strength. And, you know, speaking of, you know, during that rough time, that hard time with your daughter, what do you feel like, and I'm just going to ask if you don't mind, do you feel like you were taught, or what was the gift that she brought to you other than, you know, herself? I feel like, you know, there's a gift, you know, like a something, you know, because I feel like all children bring us a gift.
Yes.
And so, and I felt like that with mine. I had a stillborn, and so I felt, you know, and I got my gift, and it was courage. It was to be strong. And so I always wonder that with people, you know, with their children. You know, I know that even my children now, they give me a gift. They give me some kind of strength or courage or, you know, patience. One of them gives me, you know, patience. So, you know, and it just makes me curious.
Yes. Well, when we lost her, I think, you know, she brought to our family a certain type of love, because we know that it's not like a daughter is not like tending to a son. It's so much different. It's like a fragile flower. And so with that, she brought the entire family together. And I think that her coming to this earth to be with us for just that short time allowed us to touch the area of sickle cell anemia, because she had sickle cell anemia, and though she died of natural causes, but by her having that disease, it didn't help her. And so we were able to write a film called Walk by Faith and Down by the River. Down by the River is a story, her story.
Really?
Yes. And so we get an opportunity to share with the world her story and let everyone know that sickle cell anemia is a dangerous disease. It's a silent killer. And so, you know, it's not broadcasted like cancer or lupus, but it is a blood disorder. And it's a very serious disease. And so what she brought to us made us know that we had to touch on that topic.
Okay, and you did.
And
you
we did.
touched on that topic, and I
did.
want to see that film.
Okay.
And so that is Walk by Faith?
Down by the River is her story.
Okay.
And my son Sean Johnson wrote that one. He's a writer as well.
Oh,
and then I came behind him and wrote Walk by Faith for the older kids that's dealing with sickle cell anemia.
Wow.
Because there's so many cures out there and surgeries.
Really?
Yeah, so I tried to have one of those surgeries, and it didn't go through, but I just wanted to let my child know that I would do anything for him to make sure that anything they had out there that can cure him, we was going to actually try it. Well, if it was in the morals of, you know, of God, not doing nothing all crazy.
Right.
But yeah, he knows that now, that, you know, we would have done anything to get him healed, because sometimes God just don't heal you and you know on the spot. You know, it's not always a miracle that he sends. He actually sends you through the journey. You have to walk it because there's something that you need to do.
That's
yes.
right.
Yes, ma'am.
And I have been taken through the wilderness many times. And I say, you know, I am in the wilderness right now. I'm getting thorns, and you know, I'm on that path. But I know that there's an exit out of the wilderness. So whenever I'm through my learning lessons, whatever it is that I'm supposed to be learning at that point in my life, I know it's a lesson, and you know, I will come out of it. And so that's how I look at things. You know, I whenever I'm going through trials, and I try to tell people this, Listen, when you're going through trials or tribulations and you're going through a hard time, whether it's finances, your marriage, your career, any of them, your children, even, we go through so much in today's society. I can't even name them all, but so much that sometimes we feel lost. And we feel so lost, and we start getting into a really dark place.
Yes.
We feel unmotivated. We feel depressed. So I had some things and some points that whenever we are in those dark places, that will help you get your motivation back. The first one was get out of bed. And it sounds so easy to
Yes.
us, but when you're in a depression, it's not so easy. Especially if you've gone through hard, difficult times and you're not over it yet. I hear that a lot. Well, my husband passed, or, my child or my daughter, and it's not that easy to get out of bed. Here's what I know. We are not meant to stay in that hard spot forever. We grow. We've got to learn to grow and know that everything is in God's timing. And so that is number one. Just get out of bed. Number two is go for a walk. Do not overschedule yourself. Avoid negativity. Stick to a routine. Socialize. That's a big one that I know today. People are so, and a lot of people are antisocial because we have this little thing right here. And so we don't talk verbally to people as much anymore. And I see that a lot with children. They're lacking that communication. I even had to get on to my daughter because we were driving to school, and the teachers are waving, they're all happy, just being Houstonians. And, she was just sitting there, no expression, no nothing. I said, Bella, I said, those teachers are trying to wave at you and smiling at you, and we're driving still. And she goes, what? I said, those teachers are trying to wave and smile. You've got to give some kind of response back.
Yes.
Give a response. And she goes, oh, I didn't really notice. I said, that's the thing with us today. We don't notice. And I said, we've got to snap out of it. I said, you've got to snap out of it. You've got to smile and engage. When someone says hi to you, say hi back. That's so easy to do. Be nice. Put on a smile. Bring light to others around you. And, because we're going to run into darkness everywhere. But you can be a light and you can be a vessel. And so that is what I know. And I told her, you've got to be a light in your school and wherever you go. Be a light for somebody else because they need you. Just as much as God calls you to do it, they need you. They need you in that time being. And so she was like, okay, Mom, that makes sense. And I told her, I said, you're going to run into somebody, and they're going to have a hard day. And they may be thinking about committing suicide. They may be thinking about a multitude of things, or having something happen in their home or whatever. You may be that light that gets them out of that funk for the day. And so, that's what I try to tell people. It is not easy, and there are times where we don't want to socialize, but we need to. We need to do it more. We need to love each other more. The other thing is create a support network. I love what BWIF does. Because when I see them, everybody's smiling. They're always happy and joyous, and I love seeing their bright, shiny little faces. And they get business done, but they do it with a loving mentality. They give good criticism, because I will tell you, I've been in some environments where constructive criticism is one thing, but when you're making someone feel bad about themselves and you're completely just making them feel like unworthy, you're not giving them good criticism. and they're going to go home and they're going to have the rest of the day is not going to be good for them, and then they go home and they may take it out on their families. So and you've got to remember that we're all human. We all make mistakes, all of us. None of us, not one of us perfect, but those are things that I try really hard, and I think whenever I know that I am doing wrong or something, it's put on my heart very heavy, and I say, oh, I'm not being a great person right now. I need to smile. And then I'll find myself on Facebook, and there's times where I'm want to get on social media and I'm trying to work and I see something negative, and it's very hard not to comment back.
Yeah.
That you get in that, because I'm human. It's very hard not to be protective or something like that, but we have to do things loving.
Yes.
And there are many times where I know people are like, oh goodness, they don't want to hear it. But I want to be a light. That's just what I'm called to do. I know there's other things, but that's one of them. The other thing is get enough sleep, enough rest. When we don't have it, we can't function. We cannot function. It's very hard. So those are just a few tips to stay motivated and get yourself out of bed, get you going. But there is a lot of struggle, but I promise you, when you get over those struggles and over those humps, you will have amazing strength, and you're going to be able to be in the right mind, right sound of mind, and you'll have that peace so that you can help other people. And that really, honestly, we're lacking that in today's society. We are completely lacking that. We get out. People have a one-track mind. They get to work. They are ready to come home, and they get to school. Most of the time, they don't even enjoy school anymore. And I hear that a lot with kids. It's like, oh, I don't want to go to school. Well, that's a big issue for me, because I know when I was younger, that was like my safe haven. School was my safe haven, and it is for a lot of kids.
Yes.
A lot of kids go to school to escape their reality. They go to school, they don't want to be around, abusive parents or, whatever it is. They go there to escape. We have to be loving and teach our children, because these other children that are trying to escape their reality, when they go to school, they need happy, smiling faces, loving faces. And so there is so much. I mean, this topic could go on for days. We really could, honestly, but we're not going to do that. But the main thing is just love each other, treat one another with respect. She has amazing films out there, and I really want you guys to watch them and listen. I would tell you, from being from New Orleans, I love her accent. I absolutely love it.
Thank you.
I love working with her. I mean, it really just brings me a lot of joy. And so whenever I'm around her, I even said, I usually don't get shy or anything like that. I usually am pretty straightforward. And I thought, I told my spouse, I was like, I'm a little nervous today. He was like, really? Why? I said, I don't know. I said, I think it's because to me, she's something I aspire to be.
Aw.
And, just the things that we go through, people used to say, oh, well, who's your idol? I've never idolized anybody on earth ever in my life. It's, I don't have idols or anything, but I do have people that I aspire, that I really look up to, and you being one of those people. That for the males, I have so much respect for Mark Wahlberg, and Sylvester Stallone.
Oh, yes.
I mean, people like that really just, I love them. I really do. I think it's the drive in them, the complete motivation that is just like, you know what, I grew up this way, but I'm not gonna let it stop me. I was homeless, but I'm not gonna let it stop me. I was on drugs, I'm not gonna let it stop me. I was molested, raped, and all these things, but I'm gonna keep going, and I'm gonna get louder and more proud, and I'm gonna be a vessel for God. And those are the people that I am just completely drawn to, that I love. And so I just want to thank you for taking your time.
Thank you,
And
Kelly.
to me, it's um, I had a little kid one time. I gave all my kids presents to them, and she asked me. She said, "Are you an angel?" And I
Oh
said,
wow.
I said, it teared me up. It really teared me up. And I thought, this child has been through so much in their lives, so much. And I have seen in my own family go through so much in their lives. But I said, I am going to be the person that breaks that vicious cycle. I want to be that one. I want to be the one to share my story, and I'm not ashamed to share it. I don't want to hide behind the curtains, pretend like nothing happened in my life. I don't want to be that person because nobody learns from it. Nobody does. And so I want to be like Miss Joanne and have
Oh,
BWIF or something and share these amazing stories about her beautiful daughter or her children, her life, her struggles. I want to be that person. I want to be that voice. And if we all could be that way, and we all could just face reality and not be ashamed and come out
yes.
and just say, hey, this is who I am. I am broken. I come, from brokenness,
Mhm.
but I am strength and I can do it. If we all come together like that, the hate would stop.
Mhm.
We would have nothing but love for each
Yes.
other.
Yeah.
And so, sitting here, I absolutely the motivation and the drive I have today, just sitting in the presence of someone who has the spirit in them and the love for the Lord and their family. It is a huge motivation just being in the same room. And I tell my spouse, whenever we have hard days, don't let it affect other people, and we can't let it affect each other because we are all growing, living human beings, and we all come from one person, and that is God.
Yeah, and I want to thank you, Kelly, for having me on the show. I didn't know you were
Absolutely.
going there. You're about to get me teared up
Oh,
over here. We thank God for your courage
oh,
and what you've been through. You know, God says that all things work together for the good of them that have loved the Lord and called
mm,
according to their purpose. And you are called according to
thank
His
you.
purpose. And we thank you for breaking every generational curse in your family in order so that others may be saved. So continue to tell your story because
Mm.
others are listening. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
you're so welcome. I have nieces and nephews that I really don't know, that I really, or I would, not nieces and nephews, what would they be? My niece, her children, let's see, they would be
Sister, nephew? Does
my,
sister's
my
children?
niece's children. Let's see, what would they
Great
be to me?
niece.
Great
Yeah.
niece, okay, niece and nephew.
Uh-huh.
I want to know them. I want to know them, and I don't I don't really know them. And I thought about that the other day. If I don't step in, and I don't get to know these kids, and I'm not a vessel and a light in their lives, they're going to continue that
Mm-hmm.
generational curse, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't want that for them. So I said, I've got to step out, and I've got to do something. I've got to, I was at a point in my life where I said, Lord, I'm going to step back away from things. I'm going to step back away from even, people that I loved, and just step back because it was so toxic for me. And, I know that the Lord doesn't want us to smolder and be in all that toxic, forever. But we can help and we can learn. If you're going backwards, then you got to get out. But if you're there and you can teach them something and learn something, then we can keep going forth.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's one of those things. And if you all know somebody out there, if you need help, or you even want to write a book, you have a wonderful, amazing story, and you feel like ashamed or embarrassed, don't be, because you are that light. You're supposed to be. If you feel that calling and you're supposed to do something, get a hold of BWIF. Let them help you and lead you, because that's what you're supposed to do. And I tell people, everybody in this world, everybody has a gift. And it
Mm-hmm.
may be for you, but it also may be for somebody else. You may be a gift for somebody else. So, and I always say that. And I hear people all the time say, "I don't have any special gifts." I promise you, you have a special gift. It may not be for you, but you may have gone through something that you're a gift for somebody else. So don't be ashamed and afraid to say things that you've gone through.
Yeah.
It took me many, many years to tell people because I would sit and I went to Celebrate Recovery. And I went there and I remember sitting down at a big table with the girls. And I was a little hardened. I'm not going to lie. I was a little hardened. And I thought, they would share their stories. And I caught myself because I thought, this is the story that's hurting them. But I said, and it was selfish of me because I had so much pain and so much hurt. But what happened was I caught myself because I said, these girls really, this is hurting them? Like, I didn't get it. But I said, it's hurting them. This is something that they have been carrying for many years. And I've got to be respectful and mindful of that. Just because I feel like, or we feel like, we've gone through something greater does not mean that. It means, and I say this, that I went through something completely different because I feel like God knew I could be strong and have the strength.
Yes.
Some people don't. Some people have gone through certain things in their life, and maybe they weren't strong enough to go through it. Maybe they weren't strong enough to be the ones to share their testimonies. But there's other gifts out there for them,
Right.
and other people.
Yeah. And we're told that, if you confess your sins or your shortcomings one to another, you will be healed. But a lot of times we don't confess that to one another. We don't find somebody that we can vent to and tell them, you got to find that one person that's no judgment, just not judgmental, and that will listen to you. And this is why people go to therapy, because they're actually sitting in the presence of a person that does not know them, in the presence of a stranger that that's not that cannot judge them. And if you do that, if you confess that, you kind of you lighten your load. You lighten your load. So don't be afraid, like Kelly says, don't be afraid to tell your story when you're ready, because some people have told their stories prematurely and then they ended up going back into the same situation again because they were not strong enough.
Right.
They weren't delivered yet, and but find someone you can confide in, and so you can someone can pray with you. You need somebody to pray with. You need a prayer partner, and so when you do that, God will continue to heal you.
So is there anything else that you would like to share about BWIF or any of the cast crew? Any of that, I would love to give you this time to share it.
Okay.
And there are people listening and watching, and they need you.
Okay. The only thing I would like to share, I just want to, a lot of people don't know because I'm always pushing BWIF, Wisdom Production. Is
Wisdom
my company.
Production.
I've been had this company for over 20 years. And so BWIF curriculum is built after Wisdom Productions curriculum. And I'm also going to churches now. If you are interested in building a drama ministry, I can come there and do a workshop with you, so that way you can get the message to the people of God in a different way. Because some people, like you say, are visual, and they're not, a lecture, a long lecture, kind of distracts them, and they don't get the full message. So if you're interested in the drama ministry, please give me a call. You can go, if you want more information, you can go to my website at wisdom-productions.com, and you can find all my movies there, all the books, all the workshops and things there. If you want to know more information about Brilliant Women in Film, you can go to brilliantwomeninfilm.com, and you can find out how to write your script, how to finish your movie, how to get involved with workshops. So just go to those two websites, and we'll be happy to help you.
Oh, amazing. So whenever someone comes, and I'm sure you get this a lot, is, hey, I have a vision, or, there's something I need to get out. She is the person that can help you do those things. She has the tools, and she has an amazing team that will help you.
These women are amazing.
Amazing. So, anything else you would like to share?
Yes, I would like for you to be encouraged, all the listening audiences. Be encouraged and know that God will never leave you and He will never forsake you, and He's always there. Always call on Him because He knows the plan that He has and His thoughts towards you, and they are good thoughts. And so, if you're around individuals that cannot help you grow spiritually, then you need to find some more friends. You need to know your circle. You need to know your strength, because there is a purpose in you. And so once you find out what your purpose is, then you move towards the light, because we've all come from a dark place. But when you move towards the light day by day, God will assist you. He's waiting for you. He's waiting for you to make that change. And trust me, you won't regret it.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think that was beautiful. I mean, today's show, I think, is exactly, I know what I needed for today. And, you know, it's amazing what God can do in the people that He brings in your life. And I tell my girls, if you run across somebody and they're in your life, they've come into your life, there's a reason. There's a reason. And so just look out for it, watch for it, because it may not be for that time, but it may be for your future. And so, you know, it's amazing how God puts people together.
Yes.
He really does, and I love it. I think it's incredible, and I love to watch people grow. That is one thing that is so fascinating to me, is watching people grow in their faith. And that's a whole other show that I want to talk about. But it is really, it's going to be amazing, and I love it. But I want to thank you all, and, you know, just like she said, stay courageous, stay strong. There are going to be times, and they're going to beat you down. There, you know, we all have those days. Everybody. I promise. It doesn't matter if you live in a small little house or a large one, whatever. We're all human. We're all human, and we all have issues.
Yes.
We all go through trials and struggles, and don't ever want for someone else's life. You know, you were given your life. Do the very best you can with your life.
Yes.
You were given your visions and your dreams. Take those and run with them. Don't set on them. That is one thing I hear people, oh, well, I had this vision. You know, yes, I had a vision 20 years ago that I've got to get out. So make sure you do something with it. Know the right timing. Pray about it. And I promise it will happen. But we want to thank you for watching the Kelly podcast, and I want to thank Wisdom Production, Miss Joanne Montreal. Yeah, thank you. I always want to say Montreal.
Yeah, it's French.
Montreal.
Yeah, Montreal.
It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Thank you. I said it right.
Yeah.
There's that little French, and I was like, you know, it sounded a little bit snooty, but it is. It's just that beautiful. It's a beautiful,
French.
beautiful name. So, anyways, I love you, and I want to thank you so much for being on the show.
Yes.
And we're gonna have a wonderful time. Everybody, stay safe this evening. Have a wonderful week. I will see you next week with Nicole. She'll be our next guest. So we're really excited, and God bless.